Alright guys, welcome back to another Opera Omnia video where we're going to be talking about my top 11 through 20 characters that you should be pulling for whenever their banners do drop. Now this is a continuation from the top 10 must pulls for future FOMBT weapons, and you guys blew that video up. That video got so much feedback with views, likes, comments, the whole shebang. It was insane. I was not expecting that video to blow up like that, and a lot of you guys really liked that, and a lot of you guys wanted me to continue and talk about my top 11 through 20 since I did mention them as honorable mentions. So we're going to be talking about the top 10 characters that I did mention in that, or not top 10 characters, but like the 10 characters that I did mention in that video. We're going to be talking about them here. There is one change that I am making to that list that I am going to let you guys know as we progress through the list of characters. I'm not going to say it just yet, and I will be explaining why I am making that change. So whenever we get to that, I will let you know. But as of right now, we are going to continue on with doing the same format that we did for the top 10 video and talk about the honorable mentions, aka the top 11 through 20 characters that you should be pulling for. Now, I do want to mention, and of course, that these are my opinions, and of course, like if you feel like you disagree with any of the characters that I'm going to be talking about in this list, or if you feel like maybe you would change one over the other, whatever it is, feel free to comment down in the comment section below. I read your guys' comments from the last video. I will be reading the comments for this video. Most players, from what I can tell, did agree with my top 10 list. There was some players that would have made a change for one or so characters, which is perfectly fine. Like us as players, like we all have different play styles, we all enjoy different characters, so and that's the great thing about this game, is like you can pretty much experiment and play around with so many characters and so many kits, and like at the end of the day, as long as it works, it works. So again, if you want to comment down on what you think about my top 11 through 20, you're more than welcome to do so. All opinions are welcome on this channel. Regardless if I agree or disagree, it is all welcome. Now, the other thing that I am going to mention is that my top 10 videos are definitely, or not my top 10 videos, but my top 10 characters that I chose in the first video are still going to be characters that you should definitely pull for. But for these characters that I'm going to be talking about, yeah, they are fantastic characters for what they do and for what they offer. Should you pull for them? Yes, but are they like 1000% necessary to have? No. That's why I decided to add them as honorable mentions, because they are fantastic characters, but at the end of the day, it just depends on how your resources are looking, if you're able to green them, so on and so forth. So the top 11 through 20 is going to be characters that if you can pull for them, they will definitely benefit you greatly, but if you can't, it is fine. You can probably pull for their kits whenever it does get reran in the future. So that's one thing that I did, or one of the two things that I did want to mention before we start talking about the top 11 through 20. So but yeah, with that being said though, of course, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and if I haven't said it already, thank you so much for the freaking feedback. The top 10 video really did blew up like crazy, and I was definitely not expecting that. So again, thank you so much for watching that video. I really appreciate it. Thanks. That's all I can say is thank you. So, but anyways though, with all that being said, let's go ahead and talk about Noctis and Kurasame. Now Noctis, for what he does, the rework that he got and everything that he got overall was pretty freaking insane. They made sure that this man deals damage, and the rework that he actually got was pretty nasty. Like, you got HP attacks galore all over his kit. Now, the biggest thing that I was concerned about, and I was worried that they weren't going to change it, was going to be his follow-up attack from his BT effect, because his follow-up attack from his BT effect only did 2 HP attacks, but they added an additional 2, now being 4, which is great. And I was super happy when they actually did change that. The other thing that they changed within his BT effect is that they added a 30% HP damage cap up, which is pretty common now when it comes to BT effects on the JP side. So overall, the rework and his damage output is very, very high, and thankfully for him being a follow-up attacker to your teammates after they act, like the amount of HP damage that he can actually add on top of whatever it is that your teammate is doing, like, yeah, it can definitely stack up. And with the force at a strong high percentage, like, yeah, Noctis it adds way more to the team, especially if you're going up against fights, which you will be later down the line, when enemies at HP is going to be very, very high. Then Noctis, with his follow-ups, with his damage output, and everything that he does overall is going to help you out greatly. Especially now that we got the weekly crystal quest, which depending on which level that you choose will increase the amount of HP that the boss has. Like, Noctis is still very much a very solid choice. I'm currently not working on my purple crystal, black crystal, whichever color you want to define it as. But whenever I do, Noctis is definitely going to be a solid choice to have alongside with freaking Astos or Setso or Quinel or whatever. So, but anyways, aside from that, the other thing I did want to mention was talking about his FR. And his FR does grant the team the warp step, so that way after they act, they will go ahead and follow behind their teammates, right? So like basically, like, the enemy is not going to be acting whatsoever. Is how that buff is going to work. When it comes to his FR conditions, they are super easy to meet, especially if you're going to be using Noctis FR Echo, or you're going to use his LD ability to grant that warp step. Then you're going to meet the first condition, which is going to be a 40% increase whenever the previous turn was an ally's turn. The other thing that you could technically do as well is that if you have a character with high turn rate, or if you put Paine on the team, because Paine with a BT effect does grant an additional turn, which we'll get into here in just a bit, then Paine would be a really good option with Noctis. And then the other one, which is also a 40% increase, is that after the party's turn, while party has any buff or special effect at least at level 0 once per turn. So super easy conditions to meet, not hard whatsoever. Like, that's an easy 80 to 90% increase. And then with FR Echo, if it's a damaging FR Echo, then that'll be at about 100%, 105%, somewhere around there. And then with those that do not deal any damage, then yeah, that's an easy potential 120% right there. Like, take example for like Aerith, with an FR Echo would actually increase it so long as she has any type of like buff or special effect that has at least a level 0. So but yeah, overall Noctis is a really good choice to consider. If you do have him green, then all you got to do is chase for his FR, and like, he is not going to disappoint whatsoever. Like, he is going to be dealing damage, and he's going to be doing it freaking well, and I am going to be pulling for his kit once again whenever it drops on global. Next up is Kurasame. Now, Kurasame overall is a really good character. The biggest thing that I liked about Kurasame is from his BT effect, making it so that the enemies cannot grant themselves any brave whatsoever. Like, if they attack you, they're not going to get any brave. If they try to build up some brave out of nowhere before they attack you, they are not going to get that brave that they desire. The other thing about his BT effect is going to be that depending on the level on his debuff that Kurasame inflicts from his LD ability, if it is at 5, then you or the party will be getting an additional 20% HP damage cap on top of the 30 that you are already getting while his BT effect is active. So it's a really good BT effect for those type of fights where if you know that the enemies is going to be constantly attacking you, then having his BT effect active is going to prevent them from dealing any damage. The other thing is going to be that with just having Kurasame in the team, like, he definitely helps helps out in supporting in having him and everybody on the team to be able to deal some pretty good damage output overall. He does provide Ice Enchant, which is great, and like the rework that he does get, it's a small rework, but it's a good rework because it pretty much like helps in making sure that he is up there with everybody else. So his LD gains 1 use, and then his follow-up from that buff that you get from his EX ability now deals 4 HP attacks instead of the previous 2. So like when it comes to like damage, for him being, in my opinion, a really strong 3rd slot character, like Kurasame is like, he's gonna be dealing the damage that you are wanting to see out of characters. Like take example, his LD ability is gonna be dealing 5 HP attacks on top of the follow-up on the target that you attack. So that is a total of 9 HP attacks, right? And I'm not gonna go through every single one of them, but just that right there is just an example of like what Kurasame can do and bring with everything else. When it comes to his FR is super easy to me when it comes to his conditions. The first one is pretty much using Ice ability. Kurasame is able to provide that, so that is not going to be an issue for anybody. And then the other one is depending on the levels of his debuff that he inflicts. So at max 5 levels, then you can easily get a 50% increase for that condition, and a 20% increase was for the ice. So in total, you can get about 70 to 80% when it comes to that. And of course, with FR Echo, is going to be a little bit more. So Kurasame overall gets the rework that he needs to make sure that he doesn't fall behind. And in my opinion, he is a strong 3rd slot character to really consider pulling for. Next up, we're going to be talking about Paine. Paine becomes so much better. Like, she gets HP attacks galore when it comes to her rework. The thing about Paine is that depending on what position you have her will depend on what you can actually take advantage within her BT effect. Because for those who may not know, Paine is a character where, depending on what position you have her, she will either be inflicting the enemies with negative auras, she will be granting the party with some good auras, or if you have her on the middle, then you will be doing a mix of both. So with Paine, at least for me myself, the way I like using Paine, I like having her in the middle because I can get a mix of both. And not only that, but with her BT effect, basically whenever herself or allies to the left select an attacking ability, it inflicts silence on all targets for 1 turn. And guess what? That debuff stacks, which I like a lot. The other thing is going to be whenever herself and allies to her right select an attack ability, they will be granted with a buff called Accelerate. Now this buff right here, whenever it reaches level 3 or higher, which I do believe, if I remember correctly, you pretty much have to act for it to increase, and it has a max levels of 9. So basically what this does is that it will grant instant turn rate, but it does consume 3 levels. Now that buff does not go away. Basically that buff is going to get reset over and over, so that way you can take advantage of that instant turn rate, which that instant turn rate can actually come in handy, specifically for characters that you want to try to FR Echo spam before you get to the character that is going to go into the BT phase. Then Paine is actually a really good character to consider. At the same time though, and I'm gonna be honest with you, like there have been times where that buff kind of like hindered me a little bit, because like when I didn't want that, it happened. I got instant turn and I'm like, no, the one time that I do not want instant turn and I actually get it. So like you definitely have to make sure that you time that buff, you have to time that buff so that way, you know, it won't mess up with the setup that you are trying to do. I was lost for words right there. I don't know what happened. But yeah. So overall, it is a really good BT effect to have, in my opinion. It does also provide the party, excuse me, with party brave damage cap up, HP damage cap up. It also inflicts the enemies with a 50% brave damage resist down and a 20% HP damage resistance, which is pretty cool. And then the final thing within her BT effect is that if you have her fully maxed out, or if you have her at 2 out of 3, then all enemies HP poisoned by 1500% of Paine's attack, and it does not KO. Now, sadly, that poison does not scale with the force. It would be fan-freaking-tastic if it did, but you know, it's additional damage that I have no issues with, because like it's going to pretty much trigger all the time, so I'm not really, you know, it doesn't really like bug me that badly. But like overall though, I will say Paine is a fantastic character for the changes that she got overall. When it comes to her FR, her FR, the first condition, 20% after party action whenever the party attacks the enemy with the status break debuff. A 30% increase after the party's turn while party has any buff or special effect at least at level 0, and a 30% increase after party action whenever the party buff count / enemy debuff count is at least 10 once per turn. So yeah, the FR conditions are very much easy to meet, no issues whatsoever, especially with how Paine works, and depending on what position you have her, then it's going to be like conditions that are going to be easily met. You're not going to have any issues whatsoever. I still use Paine from time to time just because like I really do appreciate that BT effect out of her, and I do feel like she is definitely worth pulling for later down the line. Next up is General Leo. Now General Leo becomes a single target freaking destructive force that you do not want to mess with. Like, oh my god, the rework that he got is pretty freaking nuts. Like, his skill 1 deals 6, his skill 2 deals 8 people. His EX ability did not get changed, but it does deal 6 HP attacks, except that they messed around with his Gastalian loyalty buff. And then his LD ability deals 7 HP attacks. For those who do not know, General Leo, what he does is that he is a delayer. He does some pretty good Brave Battery, and the other thing is going to be that he provides fixed HP damage. Now, what changes that he actually get aside from the HP attacks, his FR is definitely more so when going up against single target fights. So a 45% increase whenever you are attacking a target with that precision strike debuff that General Leo inflicts, and a 30% increase whenever you deal a single target brave attack. So again, going up against one enemy, General Leo is definitely going to be your man. The other reason for why you should be pulling for him, or should consider pulling for him, is that he gains a follow-up attack. So whenever you are attacking, whenever anybody is attacking a debuff target with the precision strike debuff, General Leo triggers his follow-up attack, which deals 4 HP attacks. So on top of the HP dumps that he got within his kit, followed up with the follow-up attack, like on his turn, he's going to be dealing damage. And if you get that force really high, he is going to be dealing some really strong numbers. Now, I may have a few questions, or I may have some question. Well, is he better than Tifa? I would probably stick to Tifa, not because it's Tifa, but just because like I would actually rather put both of these two characters together, and like they would be a force to reckon with. Like with Tifa with that BT effect, with the damage output she provides, and you have General Leo right behind her, ready with that follow-up attack against a single target. Yeah, I mean like both of them together are gonna be super destructive, because like Tifa is more so like DPS focused. Like yes, she is able to launch, and like really yeah, that's about it. Like she's able to launch with her EX, and that's about it. Like other than that, like she does DPS. But with General Leo, like General Leo does more overall with that fixed HP damage, brave battery, delay, so on and so forth. So overall, if you want yourself a strong DPS unit, or if you just want to stick to Tifa, that's fine too, or any other like, you know, single target based DPS characters, then General Leo is definitely one to really consider. I was actually really surprised as to how good he became with everything that he got from his rework and his brand new weapons. Next up, we have Reno and Quistis, which oddly enough, I just realized that that and I promise I didn't do this on purpose, but like the fact that the fact that that Quistis is actually Reno's FR partner, and I put them together on the same slide. Anyways, I just felt the need to say that. So Reno's BT effect overall is a very interesting one on paper, but then like when everybody started playing with him, oh man, when I tell you, he is a really good candidate when it comes to like the off-turn damage that you want to be dealing. So basically his BT effect, which lasts for 6 turns, it does inflict his pyramid debuff on all enemies, but basically aside from the party auras that he provides, which is pretty much like the common party auras that BT characters, or like just every character now provides, since every character is going to be getting a BT, is that it grants him a new change HP attack command called Turk's Combo. Now what this does is that it deals an AoE HP attack 11 times, but it also delays the party by 1 turn, and by 2 turns. But to Reno, he delays himself by 1 turn, and it does inflict that pyramid debuff to all enemies. So guess what? Like, for what Reno does as a character, like this change HP command actually benefits his FR, because for those who may not know, when it comes to his FR conditions, whenever you let an enemy act, it increases by 20%. Whenever an enemy hits you with a melee and or a melee or ranged ability, you gain a 30% increase. So you actually benefit from the enemies actually attacking you. And then the other one is going to be whenever you use a thunder ability. So just enchant yourself with call abilities, and then you'll be good to go on that one. That you gain a 20% increase. But you see what I'm getting at with his BT effect and the change HP command. You are pretty much like helping yourself to gain that easy potential 50% increase when on the enemy's turn, on off turn. And guess what? If you have Reno paired up with counterattacks, characters that are able to counterattack on off turn, then they can take advantage of the fact that they are being pushed back, and pretty much Reno is going to be the only character that is going to be acting. So Reno is a top tier choice when it comes to that off-turn damage, when you want to actually let the enemy act, and if you know that you are not going to die, then Reno is a fantastic character to really consider for. The rework that he got is a really good rework. So aside from his like powerful change HP command, like his skill 1 gains 6 HP attacks, his skill 2, which is more than likely what you're going to be using the most, that deals 8 HP attacks. His EX ability deals 6, and then his LD ability deals 5. So overall, Reno is a fantastic character to really consider for, and definitely one, especially if you love your off-turn attackers, if you love dealing off-turn damage, etc., then Reno is a fantastic choice to really consider pulling for. Next up, we have the whip teacher herself, Quistis. Now, Quistis' rework is a really strong rework for what she does. For those who may not know, Quistis is the only character in the game currently that is able to delay all enemies, depending on which ability that you choose, of course. And it doesn't matter if the enemy does not allow themselves to get delayed. Like, Quistis does not give a crap, and she will delay them regardless of whatever conditions it is that the enemies have that prevents them from getting delays, and she is the only one that is able to do that. When it comes to the rework, she gains a whole lot more HP dumps in her skills. Her skill 1 deals 6, her skill 2 deals 8, her EX ability deals 7, and then her LD ability deals 5. Now, the biggest thing about Quistis and why I like Quistis a lot is going to be because of the fact that her BT effect makes it so that everybody in the party is able to do what Quistis does. It does not matter, again, if the enemy says that they cannot be delayed. If you have Quistis on the team with her BT effect active, then you're gonna be delaying them regardless of what they say. So to Quistis herself, It is a stackable base BT effect, and the way to increase it is for every consecutive party action, but it does revert back to one level on the enemy's turn. But more than likely, you're gonna that's not gonna be an issue unless you know that the enemy is gonna jump in the turn order. Excuse me. So it has a max levels of 5. To Quistis herself, she gains a 40% HP damage up and a 50% HP damage cap up. But to the party, again, everybody is able to do the same delay shenanigans that Quistis does. The party also gains a 25% brave damage up, 50% brave damage cap up, a 25% HP damage up, and a 40% HP damage cap up. So it's a really good BT effect if you don't want to let the enemies act, if you want everybody to do the shenanigans that Quistis does within her own kit. Like, it's a really good BT effect to really consider pulling for. Like, I actually paired up Quistis with No, and that was fun. That's all I can say. Even though technically, like, they both pretty much or practically do the same thing, except that, like, you know, with No, you need to have his FR active, or you need to have his FR as the main FR active. But with Quistis, it's another story, thankfully. So, but yeah, both of them together, like, it's not a bad pairing whatsoever. When it comes to her FR, when it comes to the conditions after a party member's action, whenever the party grants Brave to an ally, it increases by 20%. 20% increase whenever a party delayed its target, including from break, once per turn, and a 35% increase whenever the party delayed its target, excluding from break, once per turn. So the FR conditions are not too terrible to meet. So overall, I do think that Quistis becomes a much stronger unit, and the fact that her BT effect makes it so that everybody could have her delay bypass is fan-freaking-tastic. She is fantastic for those fights where if you do not need to let the enemy act, then she is a really good choice for that one. The only time that you would not use her is going to be if you know they're going to jump in a turn order, or if you actually need to let them act to get rid of, like, some type of aura or whatever. So overall, I will say that Quistis is an excellent character and definitely worth pulling for. Next up, we're going to be talking about Core. Now, Core gets a small rework, nothing too crazy. His EX ability now deals 5 HP attacks, free ability use on his following turn, and also they added more self-auras to his one of Lucy's 3. His LD ability now deals 6 HP attacks, and then his Reaper's Gales deals 5. When it comes to his FR, the only thing they did was added an additional HP attack to it, but that's about it. His BT effect, though, is going to be the most important thing, because basically the buff that he grants to his teammates, which allows him to deal a preemptive attack before they act, or an attack before the enemies act if they are attacking that target that your teammate that you granted that buff with. Basically, with his BT effect, it allows him to grant that buff to everybody on the team. Now, that may not sound all that great to some players. The reason why I have him in my top 11 through 20 is because of the fact that if you see that the enemies are going to attack you with an AoE, guess what? It's not only is it going to trigger once, but it's going to trigger twice. And if Core is able to break the enemy, and if the following turn is the other enemy, then guess what? Core is going to continue spamming until the enemies finally act. So Core, basically what he does is, like, depending on, like, the type of team comp that you got going on, like, Core can, like, deal, like, preemptive attacks on top of preemptive, like, the cycle can go pretty crazy. Now, one funny shenanigans that I do believe somebody has already done, but don't quote me on that. I can't remember who it was that did it. Or it might have been myself, but I can't remember. But basically, like, Core paired up with No. Actually, no, I did it myself, I think. Damn, I forgot. Core with No's FR paired up together is stupid and it's hilarious. No, I did that. I just remember I actually uploaded that video. So basically, if you have No together with Core and you have his BT effect active and they're gonna be dealing AoE damage, then like basically like Core, because of the fact that he is going to break the target while No's FR ability is active, then he's gonna be going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with the enemy. If you missed that video, go check that out. It's like the most hilarious thing that I've done. That I do believe somebody else did it, which is why I decided to do it myself. But that was like something that's like an example of one of the like the things that you can actually do with Core now that he has his BT effect. So I do feel like depending on like the number of enemies that you're going up against, and if you know that they're gonna be like constantly hitting you with AoE attacks, or it doesn't even have to be specifically AoE attacks, but just like in general, having Core on the team, having everybody with that buff active so that way he can trigger his preemptive attacks, especially if it's an AoE attack that's incoming, then Core is a great character to really have. He in my opinion can still be used for whatever fight it is that is going on. But in general though, I do feel like he is still a great character for what he does, and his BT effect adds more to what he was already doing. Next up is Lenna. Now Lenna was my go-to support character for a good while way back in the day, but then she got her FR, her BT, and a rework, and she became so much better, and I love it. So aside from the increase in HP attacks within her kit, the fact that she is able to prevent us from getting inflicted with debuffs, the fact that she has HP overflow within her kit, and overall, like, I do feel like she is a really strong support character. But her BT effect is where she really shines. So basically, her BT effect grants her a follow-up attack after she attacks an enemy, which deals 4 HP attacks based on 100% of her own HP damage cap, and it also doesn't consume Brave, doesn't consume Brave, and it heals the party by 100% of the HP damage dealt up to 20% of their max HP. So it's a great follow-up attack, because not only does it deal damage, but it supports the party as well. When it comes to the party auras that she gets, or that she grants from a BT effect, it provides the party with a 30% HP damage cap up, a 20% Brave damage cap up, 20% HP damage up, 50% Brave gains up, and a 40% max HP overflow up. So yeah, you're gonna have a lot of HP while Lenna is on the team. Now, if you saw my recent run that I used Lenna in the weekly Crystal Crest Shinryu, you're gonna notice that I have been focusing on the white crystal characters on my main account, and one of the things that I wanted to get out of it is to get the stat upgrades that you can actually get on your character. So one of those stat upgrades is going to be increasing the amount of HP that you have. So with Lenna, now that we are getting HP overflow, you may or may not have noticed that I got a crap ton of HP on everybody while her BT effect is active, which is awesome. If you pair Lenna up with what do you call it, HP damage mitigation, and if you know, especially if the enemies are going to be constantly hitting you with HP attacks, if you know that they are going to hit you really hard, especially because she gets released with Leviathan Spiritus, and like that fight, like Leviathan hit hard. It didn't matter if you had damage mitigation. Freaking fish hit hard. And then with having Lenna on the team, like, she pretty much like saved our butts, because of the fact that we had so much HP overflow that regardless of the damage that Leviathan did, we were good. Like, we didn't have to worry too much. Like, we had obviously we had to heal at some point, like, but we didn't have to worry as hard as we would if we did not have Lenna on the team. So I do feel like Lenna, for what she does offer as a character, now that she is going to be dealing some strong damage, she provides good party auras with the what do you call it, with an L debuff And now she's going to be getting some stronger party auras with her BT effect. And then when it comes to her FR conditions are easy to meet. It's basically whenever all party members' HP is greater or equal to 100% of their max HP. After using an ability used as a 45% increase and a 30% increase whenever a party member's turn passes with 0 debuffs. Lenna's skill 2 grants a buff to prevent that from happening, so that's not going to be an issue. So like overall, I do feel Lenna becomes a much stronger support character for what she does offer, and that strong HP overflow is definitely really good to consider looking into, because like overall, like her whole package with her kit is a really good one. She becomes a much stronger support character once again, and I will definitely be pulling for her once again because what she does overall in general is really good. And finally, we're going to be talking about the last 2 characters. Now, this is the slide that I wanted to talk about that change that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, because originally I had Beatrix and Dorgon. Now, some of you guys asked me in the comment section of my last video as to why I didn't have Enna Kros in my top 10. And I'll be honest with you, after I had pulled for her BT, I did not really use her, and I did not want to give a false, I don't know, like opinion on Enna Kros without using her more. And if you saw my recent gameplay, you saw that I did use Enna Kros, and I was actually like, the more I used her, the more I started liking her kit more and more, especially with her BT effect. Excuse me. So because of that, I decided to switch out Dorgon for Enna Kros, just because of like my experiences and how I feel like she is a big benefit to Team Comp. So we're gonna talk about it here in just a bit. We're gonna go ahead and focus on Beatrix. Now, Beatrix BT effect is where it's at, because so before I jump into her BT effect, I want to explain that her EX ability grants her HP command to change over to Holy Knight Safeguard. Now that buff, what it does is that the party is not going to be receiving any type of HP damage whatsoever. Now, if we move on to her BT effect, which lasts for 8 turns, basically makes it so that Beatrix buffs in general do not decrease whatsoever, meaning that that buff that is granted from that change HP command, which is only going to last for 1 turn after her turn, because it has instant turn rate, and it grants for 2 turns, but after her turn is over, it goes to 1, so you only have 1 turn of that buff. So because of that, with her BT effect active, I don't have to worry about losing that buff, because it is going to stay there as long as her BT effect is active and she doesn't act again. So it is a very good BT effect because of the fact, and she was actually very useful for the latest 6 warrior quests that we had when we had to deal with the constant excuse me, spam of HP attacks that the bosses was hitting us with. So her BT effect, not only does it provide the ability for her buffs to not decrease at all, it also provides the party with Thunder Enchant, which is great. I kind of wish that it was true Thunder Enchant, but I feel like I'm asking too much already. It also provides the party with Brave damage cap up, Brave gains up, HP damage up, and HP damage cap up. So overall, Beatrix, for what she offers as a defensive type unit, her FR I don't believe got changed, but I could be wrong on that. Let me double check. No, it did get changed. One condition got changed. Whenever a party member's turn passes with 12 or more party buffs, it actually gained 10% more. So now it is at 40%, and her FR attack deals 4 HP dumps in total. For what she actually did get with the rework that she did receive now that she got her BT weapon, which she can deal damage for like in general though. Like, I mean, most characters nowadays are going to be dealing damage, so I don't really feel like that's something to be like too solely focused on, because you already know that characters are going to be dealing damage now that we are in the point of the game where events drop once per week. But overall, in general, though, I do feel like for what she what she does overall, and her damage output, the follow-up she's able to dispel, so on and so forth. Like, I do feel like she is a character to really consider pulling for, because like that BT effect and that buff active at the same time is actually it really does come in handy, and I do feel like it's something to really consider pulling for, just because like you are going to, like, at the time of her release, you are going to be encountering many Shinryus where they are going to be constantly attacking, and some of those actually do if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong here, but I do believe there are a few of them that do bypass evasion. So having Beatrix on the team as like that third slot character would be a really good option to have on that slot. So for me, I am going to be pulling for her BT effect again, just because I want to be able to allow myself to do whatever I want with feeling comfortable that that whenever the enemy attacks, I'm not going to go down. So yeah, Beatrix, definitely worth pulling for. I would really consider players to really pull for her kit. And finally, we're going to talk about Enna Kros, and she is the character that I switched out for Dorgon. Now, Enna Kros, the biggest thing I love about her is that BT effect. The BT effect is short, I will say that. It is very much short, but when you think about it, it's Enna Kros. She is going to destroy whatever the heck is in front of her. So, I mean, like, I can see the reason why her BT effect is short as 6 turns. But basically what this does is that this BT effect provides the party, whenever you are dealing HP damage, it rounds up the last 5 digits. So like the potential of just basically like dealing much higher damage because you are able to round up the last 5 digits is pretty good. And if you checked out my latest gameplay, like, that BT effect is no joke. It's actually a really strong BT effect. It also provides the party with Holy and Dark Enchant. It also provides them the party with Brave Damage Up, Brave Damage Cap Up, HP Damage Up, and HP Damage Cap Up. And what's funny about this is that her BT effect now actually complements her FR, because her FR, 2 of her conditions, is going to be whenever a teammate selects a Holy and a Dark ability, and then the other one is whenever a party member deals HP damage that exceeds max Brave. So Enna Kros can definitely dish out some pretty massive damage, and not only herself but also everybody else on the team, because of the fact that your HP damage is going to get rounded up. Now I am still playing around with her, but like so far I have been very satisfied for what she for the BT effect that she offers, and I still have some team comps that I do want to pair her up with, just to mess around with her BT effect and like see how well she works with like other characters, what type of team comps that I want to put together. Like overall in general though, like she's actually a pretty freaking good unit. Her BT effect, like even if you like don't go into the BT phase, like having her BT effect active so that somebody else can take advantage of it is it's nice. It's really nice, and it's I mean, I really have nothing else much to say. Like, it's actually a very strong BT effect overall. I'm not going to repeat myself anymore. So, but yeah, other than that, though, guys, this is pretty much going to be it for the video. Let me know what you guys think about my top 11 through 20 characters that you should pull for or should consider pulling for. And again, you are more than welcome to change around like some of the characters that I have chosen, with characters that you feel like should have been like in your top 11 through 20. Feel free to comment down in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. Again, thank you so much for the love on the first video, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care. I'll catch you guys in the next one.